I think I'm live. Am I? Yes. Okay. Oh, me. Hi, everyone. I'm Adele from Affirm Your Flow. And I just wanted to chat a little bit here. And if you just downloaded the PDF, it's not you, it's the cycle. First, I wanted to say I'm really glad that you did. You've taken a small step towards understanding your energy with those days that might not feel like you have any. And that truly matters. So, your guide is on its way to your inbox right now. So, check that out in a minute or two. But before you go, I wanted to take just a minute with you because I wanted to make sure what you are about to read actually helps you. And my computer just froze up. So just so you know, nothing is edited. Once I start talking, I start talking. I don't, there's no retakes. So what you're going to read, it's not all about theory. It's about real life and really hard days. So, because here's the thing, you could read everything in that guide. You could understand the cycles that I talk about and recognize those in yourself. Maybe even you might feel a little relief in that moment. And still not know what to actually do next. And I don't want that for you. So stay with me here just for a few more minutes. What I'm about to share with you is going to make a lot more sense after you read the guide. But we're going to start here. So, if you're here, I'm guessing it's because you've been living inside with something that is very hard to put into words. You just push through because you feel like you have to, or because people are depending on you, or because, well, we live in a hustle culture and resting feels wrong. And then what happens? Well, you crash. And you crash hard, like way harder than you expected, or maybe even longer than you planned. And then that's the real part that no one talks about, that guilt that comes with crashing. So it's that guilt that is so exhausting that sometimes it just overpowers everything. Guilt that drains as much as a crash. And then you tried to make up for that lost time. And then that cycle starts all over again, where you push and then you crash and then the guilt comes, you know, and I'm right there with you. I live it, and there has to be a better way. And I might have started something. Anyways, I've changed. So if that sounds like you're exactly where you're supposed to be. This is not about a discipline problem. And it's not about a motivation problem. It's just a pattern, and it has a name. Oh, excuse me. Again, these are straight up. I don't do anything. So this is me. And let me get back on track. These aren't motivation problems. These are patterns. And these patterns have interruption points. So here we go. My name is Adele, and I'm a certified life coach, and I specialize in gentle resilience coaching. I help women with chronic illness who also deal with unexpected energy and who feel guilty about slowing down and learning how to rest, learning how to plan and live a life within your actual capacity. It's not about productiveness. It's about meeting you where you actually are on those days. So I didn't create this to work from the outside looking in. I built it because I needed something. There was a time where I couldn't keep food down, and I'm not talking weeks or days or weeks. I'm talking months. I was on a completely liquid diet for 10 months before my system would allow me to reintroduce solid food. The whole thing was like a year and a half. It was crazy. I was losing weight. I was tired all the time. You know, that way where you sleep, but you feel like you actually woke up more tired. It was living in doctors' offices and hospitals more than my own home. My family was watching me, you know, in that way that no one really talks about, but they are worried, they are scared, and they don't know what to do, just like I didn't. And I had two young kids, and, you know, I was trying to be there for them, but really, I was just trying to get through the next 5 minutes. So, what nobody talks about is when you're in that state, nothing really gets processed. It just keeps happening. You're not reflecting, you're not processing, you're just surviving. So the grief, the guilt, the weight of what my illness was costing me and the people I love, I couldn't even identify that yet, you know, and that did. It came much later. And it really hit home when I was talking with one of my kiddos. They told me that they felt like they had to grow up faster because of my health. They felt like they had to step up and take care of their younger sibling and themselves because I was just surviving. And that realization really focused on how, when I was surviving, I couldn't see what was happening around me, to my parents, to my family, to my children. And that's part of this push pull guilt cycle. And it cost me quite a bit. It cost my loved ones quite a bit. And I'm not telling you this to add to your problems, to your illness, anything. I'm telling you this because I know that weight that you carry. And I know what it's like to finally have a system that makes it just a little bit lighter, where you're not surviving quite as much. You're starting to live. So, if you're a woman living with chronic illness, dealing with unexpected energy, maybe you have fibromyalgia or migraines or an autoimmune condition or IBS, anything that makes a stable routine feel just impossible. If you've tried productive systems, morning routines, habit trackers, or just push through it advice, you know, like I mentioned, we're in a hustle culture, and that just doesn't fit for your real life. I know it doesn't fit for mine. So if you are exhausted by the guilt of not doing enough, even when you're clearly doing everything you can, then you're in the exact right place. This work is not about doing more. It's about finally having a system that works with your energy, not against it. So let me explain why this cycle keeps repeating. It's because it's not random and it's not your fault. Most of the support systems out there exist in a world where productivity tools, wellness advice, coaching frameworks, even the most rest guidance were built with people with stable energy in mind. They assume that you wake up with roughly the same amount of energy each and every day. For women like us with unpredictable energy, with unpredictable health, that assumption is a huge problem. Because when you push, it's not because you're not ignoring your body. It's because the world around you wasn't built for accommodating a body like ours. or yours. So what do you do with what you have? Well, you crash. And sometimes you crash harder than you expect because you want to push past the actual limits, the real ones, the ones that you wish you had. What? Not the ones you wish you had. There we go. Those real limits, the ones that you ignore. And then the guilt arrives, which drains you further, which makes the next crash more likely. It's a loop. And most people are so stuck inside this loop that they can't see it a way out. So I have spent years trying to find something that would help me manage my energy, not just on good days, but on all of them. And then one day I started thinking about the pain scale because, well, let's face it, most of us have pain as well. And it's simple. It's one that you can just say, I'm at blank number, and the doctor or the person gets it. And I thought, oh my gosh, that works. Even when I'm having a really bad brain fog moment, I can tell someone what my pain is without having to explain my entire medical history first. And trust me, it's a novel. So another thing that I love spoon theory too. The idea of rationing your daily energy like it's a limited resource, you know, but it needed a lot of explaining on how to use it, especially when it was new to somebody. And then there was my son. We already used a very simple color, red, yellow, green, just like shorthand for us to see how he was feeling for that day. No long explanations. No, well, tell me more about why you're in yellow. Just, I'm in yellow, mom, or I'm in green. And, and so I started pulling everything together. And so I have created this program with the immediacy of the pain scale, the capacity metaphors of the spoon theory, and simplicity of colors. And I thought, what if this whole system was that simple? What if you could say one word or one color and somebody would just understand? I built what I needed, and then I realized that other women might need this too. And that's where Colors of Calm was born. It's a simple 8-state capacity system that helps you name where you are right now, emotionally, physically, cognitively, so you can stop guessing and start responding. The system is not complicated, and that's always been the point. When you are in a flare, you don't need complicated. You need something that can work in the next 5 minutes. And when you have language for where you are, what you can say is, I'm in an orange today, and I know that I need to reduce the amount of input that I deal with for today by 10%. And then you have steps to help you do that. 2 things happen. The first is you start blaming yourself for how you're feeling. You can't change it. That's truly how you feel. But now you have a name for it. You can identify it. And second, you start responding to yourself with care instead of criticism. And that's when the cycle starts to shift. When women start working the system, here's what can change. Now, not overnight. It does take time, but they catch themselves earlier. That crash that seems to come, but it doesn't come as often because they saw those warning signs and they responded before a full collapse, or as I call it, catastrophic failure. They start to rest with a little less guilt. Maybe none. I mean, the guilt's still there, but less. because they now have this framework that says this is what your body needs right now, not weakness, but an actual response, that it helps reset after a hard period without that heavy shame that typically follows. Because the system has a re-entry protocol. Yes, I even created a color for when we are coming off a flare, because I know for me, those recovery days, they're different, but sometimes they're just as hard as a flare day. So it slowly helps you and begins to trust yourself so that it doesn't require a good day. So that's the shift. It's not consistency. It's not productivity. It's self-trust. You're learning to trust yourself with this unpredictable energy, with this new life. And it all started with something as simple as knowing what color you are today. So if any of this that you heard today resonates, if you recognize yourself in this cycle, and if you want more support understanding your own personal patterns and finding that first real interruption point, I want to tell you about something that I specifically created for this moment. And it's called the capacity conversation. It's not a call. There's no scheduling or a Zoom appointment. It's not having to show up on camera on a day where you might feel that that's the last thing that you're able to do. It's literally a gentle written exchange, completely at your own pace. So here's how it works. You share 3 things with me where you are in this push, crash, guilt cycle right now, and what that is costing you the most. And then I want you to share a small shift that you think you might be able to do in that moment, if it's possible. And then I reply in writing back. I help name that specific pattern. So, maybe you're in the cycle of grief, or maybe you're pushing. And then I help you find that language that fits and help map that first clear step that fits your real energy, not the ideal that everyone thinks that we should be doing. So this allows for no prep work, no performance, and not having to explain yourself before you get help. Just a calm, honest conversation, a chat about where you actually are. And what's one thing that you could shift to help you interrupt that pattern? Now, this is for you if you've recognized yourself in that push, crash, guilt cycle and want help understanding your own version of it. It is also for you if you have tried other approaches, productivity systems, I can talk, other types of routines, wellness advice, and found they don't account for that actual energy, that fluctuating energy that you have, from day to day or even hour to hour. So it is for you if you're curious about whether a different way of living with your health is possible. Now, this is not fixing you, but it's a gentler you. Now, this is not for you if you're looking for that quick fix, or if you're hoping someone will tell you that to feel better on a biological level. I am not a medical provider, and this is not medical advice. What I offer is a framework for relating to your energy differently. So if you would like to start a capacity conversation with me, the link is in the description below, and also at the bottom of your guide that is on your way to your inbox. Now remember, there's no deadline, no limited available space. When you are ready, it's there for you. And if today is not that day for you to join that conversation, great. If you're a red, meaning you're in a flare, or a crash, or a blue, meaning you might be having some serious brain fog going on and just thinking is too much, that's fine. Read the guide as much as you can, and that is exactly all you need to do. Come back to this guide, to this video, save the link, share it with yourself for when you are on a steadier day. We call this a green day, maybe even a yellow day. And remember, everything I make is self-guided, optional, and designed to be used at your own pace without pressure or expectation. And that includes this video. So, if you stopped early, wonderful. Now, you can stop right here, and I'm glad you came, and I'll be here when you're ready. Thank you all, and this is Coach Adele with Affirm Your Flow.